Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Mentor Effect. Real stories, real impact, representing our industry mentoring program today. Really lovely to have you all in the room, in the online space, and looking forward to a fantastic discussion with some of our mentors and our mentees. So it is my pleasure to introduce our industry mentoring program coordinator, Brita. Brita Crowley is the absolute powerhouse behind the IMP, which you'll hear it referred to at Griffith University. So you have a lot to do with Brita if you decide to get involved in this program. So I'm going to hand over to Brita as she is going to lead the way for our presentation today.
Thank you very much, Kerry, and lovely to see so many people online. Now, before I begin, I thought of something I'd like to share with you today. You'll see the wonderful presentation that I have here in front of me and the wonderful photograph. I just want to let you know that most of the photos, if not all of them, are photographs of people who have participated in the program over the last 2 years. So just so you know, this isn't stock imagery. The emotions that you see on the screen and the joy that you see is really genuine and from real participants in the industry mentoring program. So uh, let's start with online etiquette. So the housekeeping, just a quick one. Put on your camera if you can, because I love seeing faces and it just feels like I'm not talking to myself. Mute your mic, obviously, if you can. Chat in messages at any stage. Kerry is going to be there moderating all of that at the background. Stick up your hand if you have a question. We will do questions at the end. Keep in mind, obviously, that everybody can see your chat in the team. So just remember when you're chatting and who you're chatting to. You can like posts. Everybody loves to, you can stick up a like. You can delete your posts and you can come back after the meeting and view the chat and the resources because Kerry is recording this. So before we kick off, I would like to first acknowledge the people who are the traditional custodians of all the lands in which we are meeting today. And we are meeting from very different lands. We would like to pay our respects to the elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. So today I am going to do a quick run through about the program and then I'm going to invite our guests to share their stories as well. So hopefully you won't get too much of me and you'll get a lot of real stories about people who have participated in the program. So before I begin, I would like to just start talking a little bit about the industry mentoring program. And yes, it is a program, but more importantly, it is very much a community. This is something that we are very passionate about, nurturing. It really helps to bring that sense of belonging, that sense of connection. It's something that we very much nurture in the program. You are part of something quite big. Although you might have a mentor in the program, you have that individual connection, you really are part of something a lot greater than that. You're part of a group of like-minded people who are very much invested in their professional development and in supporting each other. We have over 1,100 mentors in this program and it has been going for 32 years. That's huge. 1,100 mentors from a variety of industries and a variety of disciplines, all willing and able and, excited about supporting our students. And we support quite a big number of students. We support between 600 and 800 students each year. When we kicked off first, we had 15 mentors, 15 mentees, and that has certainly grown over the years. And I always say as well, we have mentors today doing jobs that didn't even exist back in 1994, which I can testify because I was well and truly in the workplace and the internet did not exist in my life. Anyway, it's all about discovering your potential, building your confidence and finding that career clarity. We do a huge amount of networking. Wherever possible, we give you the opportunity to practice those networking skills and to build that confidence around professional networking. And I'd like to think that you do build connections that last well beyond the program. Many of our mentors have been mentees themselves in the program and they've got so much out of it that they've returned later as mentors. So this is a photograph from our event 2 years ago in Brisbane. Anyway, What can you gain from connecting with a mentor? Look, I'll be very brief because when you do sign up, and I expect you'll all be keen to sign up at the end of today's session, but just a quick run through of some of the benefits. Facilitating that transition to work. So while you're at university, you may not have visibility into the world of work that you're hoping to join. So having a mentor to give you that insight is really, it's a really great opportunity. And obviously getting the opportunity for some workplace learning can also come about. Building professional confidence. It is normal not to feel confident at the moment. Our mentors have been where you are, okay? And that is why they're so passionate about volunteering their time, because they want to support you as you take off on your career. And obviously, as we've said already, providing access to professional networks. So networking is key. It's something that you should all be doing right now, connecting with me on LinkedIn, getting along to whatever networking events that you possibly can. And of course, enhancing clarity around career direction. Quite often, while you're at university, you're focused on graduation, you're focused on that piece of paper, and maybe you're not quite sure where you want it to take you afterwards. The opportunities can be overwhelming, and it is wonderful to have a mentor in your corner that can give you a perspective about what's out there waiting for you once you graduate. And then as they get to know you, they get to recognize your strengths as well, and maybe point you in a direction that you hadn't considered before. So I always say it's great for broadening the perspective first, but then narrowing it and giving you a goal that you can focus towards. The great thing about the program, you can participate as often as you want and up to 12 months following graduation. These are our session timelines. We run 2 sessions every year, T1 and T2. Okay, so if you want to join, T2 is open now, and we're getting people signed up and ready to participate. And then at the end of the year, when we're finished the 2 sessions, we all come together and have a big celebration on the Gold Coast and in Brisbane. So that is it. There are my slides. I am now going to introduce you to my first guest of the day. Um, Paris Grange. Paris is doing a double degree in law and business. She's from Canberra originally. She moved up to Queensland when she was 12, and I'm sure she doesn't miss the cold weather too much. She was part of the Career Achievers Program in 2023, and she joined the industry mentoring program in 2025 and matched with the wonderful mentor Kevin Arsenault. So just to give you a little background about Kevin, Kevin has been in the mentor program for, I'm going to say, about 8 or 9 years. His background's in supply chain management and procurement, but he actually returned to Griffith a few years ago and did a Juris Doctorate, and has now qualified and is working in the legal space. So Paris, welcome. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
accepting my offer to be here today. Um, I'm going to kick off because I've given everybody 10 minutes, and there's so much to share. So I'm going to kick off with a few questions, and then I'll let you share your experience in the program. So Paris, what would have made you decide to join the industry mentoring program, and what were you hoping to get out of it?
So I guess first of all, like I just got the email about the IMP program, and I was like, well, it's just another. I generally say yes to everything that comes into my emails. So I was just like, oh, I'll fill in the application and we see what happens. I wanted to join because last year I was really quite confused about where I wanted to be and where I wanted to go after uni, and I was like, time's ticking. I've got about 2 years in my degree left. So I wanted to know what I can do with my business and law degree, because there are really so many options. And I didn't really want the traditional pathway of going into like a law firm. I don't really think that speaks to me just yet. So I wanted to talk to someone, how they did their career, what they did, and then like you said, Kevin, like he was at the top of his game in like supply chain management, and he was like, oh, I'm going to give it all up and I'm going to go into a law firm and work as a law clerk, which, if you know, they're going to be two very different things. So it was great hearing his story. So I got a lot out of it.
Yeah, he is a wonderful mentor and very generous with his time, which is wonderful. I think I met you at Mentoring on the Move, one of our events last year,
Yeah.
and Kevin is renowned for staying long over the two
Yeah.
hours
That's for
And
sure.
yeah. So, I mean, I think he spent 3 hours with one mentee one year, chatting afterwards. But um, look, when you joined initially, and I know a lot of students might have reservations about signing up to the program or think maybe they shouldn't be involved in it, it's not for them. But did you have any hesitations or worries about participating?
Yeah, I actually did have quite a few hesitations and like a bit of anxiety joining it because I was in my third year. I had really no idea what I wanted to do. Like I couldn't go to the mentor and be like, this is what I want to do. Like, how can you help me get here? And like I also didn't think I had anything like worthwhile to add to a lot of our conversations because like I I currently work retail. Like I'm not in a working in a law firm or working in a business. So like I found it quite daunting to speak to someone who is already so far ahead in their career. But, like, what am I going to contribute? But realistically, all my worries kind of disappeared after that second meeting because it was like, you don't need to know everything. It's really just you're here to talk it out. Yeah, it was, I was
Yeah.
worried.
Look, I just love the way you frame that response because you don't need to know everything. And sometimes I hear so often from students that say, oh, I didn't get involved because I was worried
Yeah.
we'd run out of things to say, or that the mentor might ask me a complicated question that I didn't know the answer to, or it would just feel like a really stressful job interview, even though that isn't what it
Yeah.
is. And yeah, and it is, that's what I think as well, like our Mentoring on the Move event, which we host in May on the Gold Coast in September at Nathan. And it's just a morning of mentoring. It's not the program, it's completely separate. It's a great introduction to students who are sitting on the fence and sort of a little bit worried about the whole concept of mentoring.
Mm,
But it's wonderful. And yeah, and you just see that Kevin's a regular guy like everybody else. Yeah, which is wonderful. And I love the
exactly.
you focus so much there on that career clarity as well, because quite often students come in and they don't know what they want to do at the end.
Yeah.
And I think they're afraid to say that because you're kind of going, oh, well, did I invest all this money and not know what I wanted to do at the
Yeah.
end? But again, it's one of those, it's more normal than not. Okay.
Exactly.
If you were to look back now, and this is the last question, and if you were to look back, what surprised you most about your experience?
I would say how approachable Kevin was. Like, I know when I've gone into a lot of networking events and a lot of other things where you're talking to people who are so far in their career, it can feel very closed off. Like they're all like I'm up here, like you're just at the start of your career. Like we shouldn't really be having that much conversation because there is such a power imbalance between the two of us. But I never felt that way with Kevin. Like I didn't feel like he was ever like, this is what you should do with your career. This is what, this is the traditional pathway and this is the only way you can do it. Um, yeah. So I guess I went from all those traditional sort of, networking events where it was just like very closed off to where Kevin was like, no, you have like so many options. Like, don't cut yourself short just yet.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. It's so true that it's one thing that we say to our mentors as well is, look, we don't want you to provide the answer to
Mm,
your mentee. We want you to help them discover the answer because it's inside in you, but you just don't realize.
yeah,
And, it's an art in itself. And Kevin's been at it long enough now. So he's nailed the process completely. And
exactly.
yeah, and it's one thing I found as well, because I remember when I joined, I remember reading Kevin's profile going, he's amazing.
Yeah.
And thinking I'll be super intimidated when I meet him. And then you realize, oh, he's so approachable and he's so
Yeah.
generous with his time. It's lovely to see. Look, Paris, thank you so much for your time today. I really, really do appreciate it. And yeah, I look, you don't mind staying on at the end because we may have questions?
No, that's so good. I'll stay on.
Oh, perfect. And we got through that in record time because I am expecting a lot of questions at the end. So it's great that we can, yeah. Okay,
No
perfect.
worries.
So who's next on the list? I just have to get back my mouse to where I should be going. Ah, Kate Cranny. So let me introduce the wonderful Kate Cranny to you. Kate is a Griffith alumnus. She graduated with a double degree in law and environmental science, and she joined the industry mentoring program in 2025. So she's relatively new to the program. She is a science communicator, an artist, and a scientist. What I love about Kate is she grew up in an isolated sheep and cattle property, but that hasn't held her back. She has traveled far and wide on many adventures, and I am really excited about hearing about those today and hearing about why Kate decided to join the program, and I suppose give you, our audience, an understanding of the type of mentors that we have in the program. So, Kate, welcome. Lovely to see you.
Thanks, Brita.
Um,
Great to meet everyone.
Thank you. So again, I'm going to get right in there into the questions. And my first question for you is, you were recently joined the industry mentoring program, but you are a Griffith alumnus yourself. Would you mind sharing some of your story, your backstory with our students today, and what motivated you to join the program as a mentor? Over to you,
Sure.
Kate.
Thanks, Brita, and hi, everyone. I'm really happy to be here. I grew up on a farm on Biggenbull country in Western Queensland, outside of Gundawindi. So we're about an hour outside of town. So I'm not sure if there are any other country kids on the call. But there's so much to share about coming from a regional or remote place and going to university. So as Brita said, we had sheep and cattle. I ended up going to Toowoomba for school. So I was at boarding school there for a little while, really loved geography and science and English and art. And then from that, I decided to go to university. So I'm not sure if it's the same for a few of you on the call, but my family there aren't many people at all who've gone to university in my family. So my dad is a farmer. My mum was a nurse, so she studied and was a community health nurse. But university was really an unfamiliar world to me. It was like a distant land, there was nothing about that was kind of familiar or to me. So it was quite a big transition for me, to be honest. So most of my family are farmers or carpenters, nurses, and teachers. So I studied law and environmental science, and I love what Paris was saying about saying yes to things. So through my 5 years at Griffith, I had so many wonderful opportunities, and I'd really encourage you to remember that there will be a transition period where it does feel new, and that can be both exciting and daunting. And having a mentor and having that support around you can be one way of many to ease you into this new world that is university. And just to remind you, there are so many supports at university too. So there's the mentoring program, and Brita and Kerry's fantastic group of people. And then there is the free counselling services. There are many things to support you on your journey. And then I joined because I've had now it's been 20 years since I started university, but I've gained a lot from being at Griffith and this wonderful university, and I wanted to give back. So that's something also to remember, that the mentors, they're volunteered to be involved because they want to be there and they want to help you. And there are many people like that who remember what it was like to be in your shoes. Everyone was new once, even though it might seem that they're, very savvy and polished, and that they were once where you are as well.
Love that, Kate, and it's so true, because this one thing when we ask our mentors, why did they join and why did they come back year in, year out? And we've mentors who are in the program since its inception, many of them for decades, and it's time and time again I hear, because I wish I had that when I was growing up. I wish it was there. I wish I had a mentor. It would have made things so much easier for me. All of that. Yeah, it just seems to be the common factor all the time that drives our mentors to join. I have a few other questions as well here, but I also just wanted to, I just wondering if you would have a few minutes to talk us through some of the pictures that you have up
Oh,
here, because
sure.
you did mention saying yes. And I
Yeah.
know in our initial discussions, I was like, oh, she was yes, 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 yes,
Yeah.
yes. Do you want to just share some of what you did while you were at uni?
Yeah, a kind of broader thing as well is that it's okay not to know. So I think Paris, you kind of talked a little bit about this too. It's okay not to know right now what you want to do. I have had so many twists and change in my career pathway that at the time I was like, am I ever going to decide upon one thing? And then eventually it was only when I did my master's that I found out, oh, there's such a thing as science communication. That's a perfect combination of my skills. Whereas before I was like, am I going to be a lawyer? Do I want to be an artist? Am I going to be a academic? But that's all good. It's all good stuff and it contributes to the full picture of your career. And a mentor can help you see where all of those bits and pieces of your interests in your life can fit into place. But the photos here, so I studied environmental science and law. So I love doing field work outside. If there's any scientists on the call, you might empathize with that. So this is the top left is in the Simpson Desert, surveying small mammals and all sorts of interesting, beautiful desert animals. That was with Bush Heritage. I worked with them for a little while as a charity. In the middle, I worked with the women rangers, Indigenous ranger programs in the Solomon Islands and Papua New Guinea. This is the first women ranger group in the Solomon Islands. And you can see there's a tracker on the back of that green turtle. So the women were helping to see where these endangered, it's a hawksbill turtle, sorry, where these turtles are going. It's brilliant work that I got to be involved in. So again, Paris, as you said, like there's law can take you in so many different directions. I didn't expect to be there, but it's brilliant. The right-hand side is one of my artworks. I lived in the Torres Strait for a while, which is also the photo below. And that was an artwork of one of the birds, a frigate bird there. So it's also a reminder that all of your different interests can kind of feed into each other in unexpected ways. So I end up doing a lot of art with my work as well. And the bottom middle is a picture of my cousins and I on the farm I grew up on. I grew up during the drought. And so, Brady, you'd asked about the kind of challenges coming from a rural or regional remote area. So, there was some like challenges in growing up during a drought that gave me a good perspective in the world, I think, and has helped me in my career, but is also randomly quite fun too, like slopping through a dry dam. If anyone is from a farm or has country cousins or something, they know that even the most random and kind of disastrous things can also be weirdly entertaining. And the bottom left there is I did some tree climbing work while I was at Griffith. So this is part of saying yes. So you will have opportunities through being at a university that you can't grasp now how special they are, and the people you'll be around, and the fun projects and programs and things. And I said yes to doing this tree climbing work in Lamington National Park, which is in the Border Ranges, and the World Heritage area there. I said yes, and then I remembered that I was scared of heights. So sometimes it's good to say yes before you can think about it too much.
Yes.
But from that, so that was, 15, 20 years ago,
Wow.
I still have those connections with people that I met at Griffith University, and I see them around Brisbane and around Queensland. And so I'm so excited for you all because it's such a wonderful time of your life and your career and just the people that you meet. And so if you hear of people talking about networking, forget that it's, some straight-laced thing where you've got to have a prepared speech. It is just an opportunity to meet interesting people and to learn from them and to learn about the world. And yeah, there's a richness there in those experiences and then the people that you'll meet that will that is really fulfilling and rewarding.
Thank you so much. And I agree with you. I get so excited for students too that are, at that stage where they're about to go to the next, out into the world. And I think, you've got there's so much fun coming down the track. You have no idea. Yeah. What opportunities are out there, and just to say yes, but wonderful. I pity your parents if that was during a drought, having to go in and try and
Yeah.
wash off all that mud. That's all I was
They got the hose
thinking.
out. They got the gurney out, Rita.
That's it. Look, another quick question here for you as well is, um, And you probably have answered this a little bit. Why do you think this program is so important to students, especially students that might be participating in the Career Achievers program? So it's open to everybody, but if you were talking to our audience today who are participants in the Career Achievers program, why is it so important?
I think there is such an opportunity. So you might be feeling a little bit like a fish out of water, or you might have some concerns, and just having someone who has been through that process to talk to, I think is such I know it would have put my mind at ease a little more. And beyond self-confidence, I think self-compassion is one of the most important kind of things to build in yourself, that this is just the first kind of steps in your career. Having someone in your corner, as you said too, Rita, having someone to help you transition to this new world. I don't have anyone in my family who had ever had an office job, for instance. So just knowing what that is like, what is it like to be in an office? What does that mean? Someone can give you new ideas and fresh perspectives. They can say, here, I can see these strengths in you. Here are some areas I think you could grow with and build on. And here are some ways that you could potentially do that. So whether they're internships or scholarships that are available or work placements that they might know of. And also at university, you might have a lot to do with the lecturers and other researchers, say people doing their master's or PhD, who have chosen that academic world. But having someone from the industry, it might be that you don't want to be an academic, but you don't know what other jobs are out there. So they can give you a kind of a window into all the different kind of paths of your work. And yeah, I think someone being in your corner, everyone needs a village around you too. Um, and to come from different backgrounds. So again, if you're from a rural or remote a regional background, there is something in that I think is just solid gold. As you move through your work life, and I know it just for me, it has been such a connector for me. It has helped me in being able to talk to people from all walks of life. And that framework of like in your background will help inform a lot of your work and your research, and it is worth its weight in gold. So please don't be dissuaded if you don't meet many people who have come from a similar background to you. You definitely belong at university, and yeah, your insights and the background that you bring is of such value.
I love that. Thank you, Kate. It is so true, You belong here just like everybody else. And look, I've also come from a remote, well, remote of Ireland could be remote because it's so small, but from a farming background. So I get that. I was the only person in my class in primary school. So there obviously wasn't a lot of activity in 1971. But anyway, there we go. Yes, thank you so much for that. I really, really do appreciate it. And I really think you've put a lot of people's mind at ease today, just sharing your story and sharing your experiences. And I guess for students, just to see Kate here on screen and realize these are the mentors we have in our program. Nothing frightening and intimidating about them, and all here willing to support you. So thank you so much, Kate, and I hope you can stay on for the questions as well.
Very happy to,
All
Rita.
right, perfect. So now the biggest challenge, as I said, is putting my mouse on the right screen to get to the next slide. Okay, this is a wonderful story. What a wonderful story I have for you coming up now next. So I've given you the mentor, I've given you the mentee, and now I'm giving you the mentoring pair, everybody. Okay? And it didn't happen in Toowoomba. It didn't happen in Western Australia. This all took place over in Germany. Okay. A sporting chance in the Alps. And what I've done is for this is I've literally put my first communication with Ethan up on the screen. And then I instantly thought of Donna, who was also based in Germany at the time. And I sent her a reply or an email saying, would you match with Ethan? And I've put her reply up on the screen. Okay. So you get a little bit of background. Okay. So what they're going to share is their unusual connection, which took place overseas while they were both spending time in Germany. And I'm going to first start with Donna. So Donna is joining us today, I think from the Gold Coast. And Donna is a senior sport executive with more than 25 years experience in leadership roles with national, continental and global sporting organisations, including senior roles with the World University Games, Unisport Australia and Physio Oceania. Donna recently returned from a 2.5 year stint in Germany, where she held leadership roles in delivering the World University Games, which I believe, Donna, are the second largest games after the Olympics, but you might correct me on that. Donna's in the programme. She's a veteran. She's in the programme over 15 years, and I think in that time has supported countless students. Now, she thought she was taking a break from the programme for 2.5 years, but when I got on to Ethan and Ethan said what he was looking for somebody in the sporting arena, I went, I'm getting back onto Donna. I'm reeling her back in. And so, Donna, lovely to have you here today and welcome back to Australia.
Hello, Breda. Thank you.
So you and Ethan were both in Germany at the same time. How did that shape the way your mentoring relationship developed? Because you were in the same country, but you weren't in Australia. And I believe you actually didn't meet during that time in Germany.
Correct. So we were both in Germany at the same time, and it was just fortunate, and the stars aligned, and I guess what made that as a strength for our mentoring relationship was that we had something in common. So our first meeting was really not only getting to know each other, but sharing experiences. So sharing the culture, sharing the challenges of the language, all of that kind of thing. So we had instantly something in common to talk about, which was really great, which just set the groundwork for a really friendly and good relationship for all the times we met. And yes, we only met online. We were not fortunate enough to have our paths cross in Germany, but maybe here in Australia.
Wonderful. That sounds fantastic. And I love that, I guess you said you had that thing that you could share those things in common, getting used to life in Germany, all of that. And it is great when you have that common connection, I find. And we hear that a lot from mentors. I'm thinking of Frank Byrne, one of our mentors who's been here from the start, his love of music, and he loves connecting with students who also have, that shared connection. So wonderful. So, look, you're in the program 16 years. We haven't frightened you away. You've had some amazing experiences. You've impacted so many student lives. But what made you become a mentor in the first place? I mean, we are talking, back in early 2000s.
Yeah.
And what has that experience given you as well?
Yeah, absolutely. It's I think you really nailed it earlier. I never had this kind of opportunity when I was at university a very long time ago. And if I had had somebody to share experiences with or bounce ideas off or just ask questions, would have been super helpful, and not making the world a scary place, as Kate outlined. The world isn't scary, but when you're at university, you're really not sure. So to have somebody with a little bit more experience is really valuable. So I wanted to give back and allow students and younger people to learn from my experiences and my mistakes. So that's always a good thing, and it's just nice to give back.
Love it. Yeah, it is. Yeah. And I do say that a lot to students as well, is when they come to the program, quite often they think it's an unequal relationship where they're taking all the information and the mentor is giving, when in actual fact, mentors are getting so much out of that connection too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, love it. And another question then. So you've been in the program 16 years. I'm not asking you to go through every student that you've mentored, but you have definitely mentored students from different backgrounds and situations. Yeah. And how has that shaped your approach to mentoring and your approach to the program?
It's been a really good experience, because every student has been different, doing different things at university, studying some stuff I didn't even know there was courses for. So I learned things as well, which is really, really important. So I guess that's helped to shape how I approach it, going in with curiosity to know more about the person I'm matched with, to understand how I can help them, but also to learn from them. Younger people give terrific different perspectives. And as an older person, sometimes we can use that jolt of a younger person's perspective. So that's always really quite exciting. And so I approach it with curiosity and yeah, every mentor relationship has been different. Some have been ongoing and long term, and I'm still in contact with, and others are just for the duration of the program, and that's okay. So it's whatever works for you and your matched person, whether you're a mentor or a mentee.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And I love, so many mentors have said they've stayed in touch with their
Mm.
mentees, and they can rattle off the names. And even this morning, I had a phone call from another mentor who was a mentee in the program, and he said he came to me asking advice about his mentee at the moment, but he was saying, I have this problem at the moment myself at work, and I've just been reaching out to my old mentor to get advice. So they're still very much in touch. And I love that that you can have that opportunity to have that long-term relationship, which is great. I'm just going to check here now if I have any other questions for you. I don't at the moment, Donna, but I may be back to you. Uh,
All
Ethan,
good.
thank you so much. Ethan, it's lovely to have you on, and thank you for making the time today. I really, really do appreciate it. It was lovely connecting with you last year, and to make sure that Donna didn't forget about us. So I love this story so much. And yeah, so just to give everybody a bit of background, you're currently studying a Bachelor of Business and Data Science, and you just completed the 12-month exchange in Germany. I believe that isn't your first trip abroad. I think you also went through, you were abroad during high school, and you've been involved in the Career Achievers Program, the Industry Mentoring Program, and quite a few other things alongside your studies. So what drives you to say yes to so many opportunities?
Well, I feel like we have quite a through line from all of us who have spoken today of saying yes to as many things as we possibly can. For me specifically, I've found, especially over the last 5 or 6 years, and especially at uni, the things that I seem to have gotten the most out of are the things that I wasn't sure if I wanted to do. And especially overseas last year, you hear of things or you get asked, to come along to something, and you go, oh, okay, that's a little bit different from what I would normally enjoy doing. But you still say yes. And then that experience, turns out to be so special. And you look back and go, wow, like, if I had just kept to what I normally do and just kept, in my little circle or whatever, yeah, I would have missed out on this. So that's, I think, what drives me is just to try as many new different things as possible.
Yeah, love it. Yeah, it does, and it's just you have those memories forever and that experience, which is wonderful. And then you get invited onto things like this because of it. So that's great. Um, Look, what has been the most valuable thing about having a mentor that you weren't expecting? Because I know when you came in first, you were talking about you're a data analyst and you wanted to work in sports, so you just wanted that perspective. But can you tell me what was the most valuable thing that you got out of this connection?
Yeah, it's really funny that you bring up the sports analytics, because now, it's been over 12 months and I have even less of an idea of, what I wanted to do. Partly from mentoring, but partly, just getting further through my degree and realizing
Yeah.
that, having the shutters closed is not such a great idea for, thinking of what career I want to do. Um, but to answer your question, the biggest thing that I got out of it, um, having not really had any sort of mentor before in my life, was having someone to bounce ideas and to come to, with things that if you go to friends or family or other people that you are close to, they're most likely to give a response that is comforting and sort of what you want to hear. So I really found that super helpful. There was a couple of times last year where things either didn't go the way I expected, or there was something that I just needed to talk about. And if I'd gone to my family or friends or something like that, which I also did, you get the response of sort of reaffirming how you already feel, and that's really important, of course. But sometimes it is good to have that, semi detached person, like semi-detached from the experience, to discuss with you, still be reaffirming, but then also say like, hey, well, have you thought about it from this angle? And that's, I think, the best thing for me from mentoring, is able to have that person that you can have those conversations that can be a little bit more difficult, and aren't just going to reaffirm what you think. And because of that, there's things that I'm looking or still considering for after I graduate, specifically with whether I go into postgrad or not. And if I just had the experience that I had last year, I would have just closed that door. I would have thought, this isn't for me. Like, I've had enough of a negative experience that I'm just going to try something different. Whereas now, because I had Donna there and we discussed, what happened quite thoroughly and all of that, it's not something that I've closed myself off to. So yeah, I think that is something. And if I end up going down that path, which I still don't know at this stage, I will look back and go, well, that was because of my relationship with Donna and her mentoring, which I think is such a special thing if that's how things turn out.
Yeah, I love this. I know because we were chatting before the session, when we were discussing you coming on, and you shared this, and I just thought, wow, it was just so powerful because so many of us have experiences where maybe we didn't have that perspective. And so we did shut ourselves off and we didn't go down a pathway because we heard from the people around us who said, yeah, you feel like that. Yeah, yeah. And it is wonderful to have that impartial perspective. And yeah, wonderful. I really love that so much. Thank you. So I know you said you're unsure, but has being part of the imp changed the way you think about your own future? I know you're still sitting there at a crossroads and not quite sure. Um, have you any insight into that?
Yes, I do. Because whilst they say like I'm at a crossroads and I'm not really sure, honestly, I probably do have more of an idea now. However, the net that I'm casting is just broader than what I anticipated, going into my degree. And yeah, I think that when I was first starting out, and I thought I knew exactly what I wanted to do, and I'm definitely a person who plans absolutely everything to the nth degree, sometimes positively, sometimes to my own detriment. And yeah, I always, even when I tell myself I'm not going to have a plan, I end up with some sort of plan. And talking to Donna about that was also really helpful because that's how my brain works. That's how I think. But sort of taking my foot off the gas from that a little bit and realizing that some things just happen without needing everything to be broken down into 100 steps,
Yeah.
is a really positive thing. Uh, so this is sort of a broad way of answering your question, but
It
yeah, I
is.
do
Yeah.
feel like I have much more of an idea now of the different things that I may want to do.
Yeah.
And they range from a whole heap of different things. Right now, I've currently in the process of applying for tens of different grad programs for the end of or for the start of next year. Um, some in the government, some in the private sector. But it's just at the moment, see what happens. Apply to everything that
Yeah.
seems interesting, and then go from there. See, yeah, where everything takes me.
Love it. I love it. And yeah, I can see Kate, you're lighting up there as well, because this is exactly what we were talking about is you have all these opportunities and it's like watching a movie. Where will he go next? What's around the next corner, which is wonderful. And I do love as well when we were talking earlier and I had said, what made you decide where to go in Germany? And you had said, oh, I had an Excel sheet and I laid it all out in the Excel sheet. And Donna pipes up and she goes, he had me at Excel sheet. So
So true, so true.
you bonded over that love of Excel, which is great. Wonderful. I'm actually super efficient today. We are ahead of time, so I'm going to go back to Paris really, really quickly and just ask Paris. just to give our audience a little bit of an idea, how often did you meet Kevin over the 12 weeks? And were they in face to face, or were they in person, or were they online?
So me and Kevin, we did it quite a bit. I believe I think we almost did every week for the 12 weeks. Of course, you don't have to do that at all. Like, I want to just, because I go into the city weekly and he works in the city daily. I was just like, oh, like, is there a set day that we can just meet in person? Because that's like, I feel like I just want to get the best out of this for the 12 weeks. And I believe there was only one time that we did online. But yeah, majority of the time we met at his workplace, which was really cool.
Wonderful. Yeah, exactly. Because over the 12 weeks, we do recommend sort of a minimum of 6 hours, which is like an hour a fortnight or whatever. But you will have people like yourself that do more. And then you'll have people like Ethan and Donna who may not have done the full 6 hours. But how often did you meet? I'm guessing it was on Teams, Donna?
Yes, we met on Teams, and to be fair, it was the schedule was dictated by Ethan. We let that happen. But it ended up being sort of once every 3 weeks, I think.
Okay.
Probably maybe more frequently in one area, and then due to life and work and so forth, it might have taken an extra pause. But it was really dictated by what Ethan wanted, which worked for me. And I would say, Ethan, every sort of once or 3 weeks.
I'd say probably once every 3 or 4 weeks. Which sometimes that was a couple of times, a few weeks or a few fortnights in a row, and then when either I was on summer break, or when the uni games really ramped up for Donna, we'd take a bit of time in between. But I think that also shows the beauty of the mentoring program, that you guys can take, like, everyone can take it at their own pace. And it doesn't really, there is no set schedule that you have to stick to. If something works for two of you, then that's perfect.
Wonderful. Yeah, that's so true. And we do our best to make sure that we fit it in around everybody's life, because everybody is busy these days. Before I jump into the questions, I'm going to go back to Kate very quickly, because I know I've touched a little bit on mentoring on the move in the past. And I know some of our audience might be going, what is this mentoring on the move? Kate, as a newbie, do you want to give your perspective on it?
Sure. So, mentoring on the move. So, it was an early morning at Griffith University. Nathan campus is my closest campus here. Breda and her team set us up with each of the mentors with a group of students who were roughly in our field. So, most of the four students who I walked around the campus with and yarned with were doing science. So, a couple of them knew each other, but then a couple of them hadn't met each other before. And we just talked about where they were at with their career or thinking about their career, where they're at with their studies. A couple of the students were at a bit of a crossroads. I thought, should I do an honours or should I go into like a graduate program? And I set up a LinkedIn conversation between the five of us, and I didn't tell you this, Breda.
No, you did not.
I've been keeping in touch with them and just checking in to see how they're going. Sorry,
Oh,
probably should have told you
I love
that.
it. No, I think that's great.
But that
I
was
like,
a
because
little
it's a
more
genuine
informal.
surprise.
Yeah,
I love
big
that.
reveal.
See, yay.
But I felt I wanted just to see how they were going, and they were a little less formal, but just checking in, and we're all like LinkedIn connected now. So whenever I see that one of them has started up with their honours, it's so nice to kind of celebrate them. We had a photo taken that morning, and I put it up on my LinkedIn and just said, if anyone's looking for a graduate, these three are amazing, and there's four, sorry, four of the students are brilliant, and so it's nice at this stage in my career to be able to, even in those kind of just a shorter term meeting like that, it's not a set kind of program of 12 weeks, but even just to celebrate the students who I understand where they were at that stage in their career and doing really exciting, fun stuff. So
Oh, that's
But the
great.
mentoring the move was brilliant. It was so you just walk around the campus and just yarn to someone who is in a similar field to you, and they can just offer little snippets and might be little glimmers or ideas for you of what you could do next, or they could keep in touch with you like I have as well.
You forgot to mention the t-shirt.
Oh, sorry. Oh my God, t-shirt is great. Come for
And
the
we give out
t-shirt, stay for the chat.
Yes, that's it. We give out t-shirts and we also offer everybody breakfast. So look, thank you. That's
Yes,
great to
delicious
hear.
breakfast. Sorry, Brett,
Yeah.
I was so caught up
So
with
there
this
we go.
fantastic conversations. And you can meet all sorts of other
You
students too,
can.
so it's really nice.
Yeah, and the one we had in the Gold Coast last year, a student messaged me afterwards, and he came on his own. He was there at 6:30 in the morning, and he said, "I came on my own, and it was great to meet mentors and other students." But he said, "I made friends," and I thought, "Oh, that to me was the cherry on 2025." Just to think that you made some friends out of an activity that we run. So that was wonderful. Questions. Let me open up the chat because
Yeah,
there
we've got
was
some
things.
excellent questions. Let me put them together for you, Rita.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so
That would be
Emma has
great.
asked a couple of really good questions, as has Jane. What Emma is asking is, have any of the mentors worked with mature age students? Is there a different sort of approach that you take in that mentor relationship that you need to consider? So that's the first question.
That's a great question. And before I put it to Donna and Donna, I think mainly, is I will say quite often mature age students will come to me and say, "Oh, it's probably not for me because I'm a mature age student." And I go, absolutely is. It's open to everybody. It's very inclusive, and everybody gets something out of it. So I'm going to jump over to Donna very quickly.
The answer is yes. I have had mature age students. I actually have a mature age student as my mentee this year, and I've had a number of them across the years. Do I approach it differently? No, not really, because it's all still learning about curiosity, knowing where that person is at their life. Why are they a mature age student? What have they done previously? They have just different life experiences, which is no better or worse than a younger person that is just going straight out of high school into university. So I think, again, definitely not. It is for everybody, and whether you are mature age or not, we can all learn from each other, and I think that's the most important thing.
Fantastic.
Emma had just another little bit to add to that, which I really liked this question. Thank you, Emma. It was, I think also for Donna, you mentioned that sometimes, what's the benefit of going outside of your network or outside of your program or discipline area when looking at a mentor? So Emma is currently in cybersecurity and criminology, but is looking possibly to expand her networks. So what are the benefits?
Yeah, I think Kate would probably be able to answer this really well as well. But I think that going and being connected with somebody who's not in your field or industry or course just provides a greater opportunity, a greater chance for you to understand what opportunities are out there. Because even as you're going through university, you're never too sure what doors can open and where what direction they'll take you. And then if you're paired with somebody who's not from your industry, then it can open up a whole lot of other new doors. But ultimately, your mentor has been through it. They've been through. It doesn't matter what industry they're in. They have been through university. They've tried to find work. They've gone through the process of trying to find jobs, or they've gone through higher, more advanced education. So there's a lot of things that you can draw from there. As Kate said, what's it like working in an office? Some of these things, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, they can translate quite considerably.
Yeah. Do you want to add to that, Kate? Or
I think just when you start university, you might have an idea of what it means to be in supply chain management or to be in health science, but there are so many, like I studied law and environmental science thinking I want to be an environmental lawyer, but I've since learned there are thousands of different careers that use those skills and that knowledge that I gleaned from university. And so just having someone to say, have you thought about all of these things? Like here are all the other ways in which your skills, and I think the mentor also, if they have that kind of insight, they'll be able to see, like, I can see you're, for instance, a very social person, maybe being a data analyst, like, or just doing that one thing isn't really for you. But I think if you were an in-house, I know they can see how your aptitude and your character might match with a job as well. So they can, in that way, there have been jobs that I've had, like my first job was in water law with the Queensland government, and the people were lovely, but it was very slow for me. And I'm a person, I like fast-paced kind of work, and I like to be talking with all sorts of people. So it was another opportunity for someone to say, oh, here are the types of job titles. This is what they might be like day to day. Like, is it going to be collaborative, or are you more of a solo worker and you're very happy in that space? So they can give you a little insight into what that job might be day to day.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Sorry, Frida, I can see we're getting towards the end of our allocated hour, and I just really wanted to present this question from Jane. Jane was asking, have any of the mentors had experience mentoring students from a different background where English may be their second language?
Again,
yes.
I'll jump, Donna. Yeah, I would be like, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I have had people from Asian backgrounds, Middle East backgrounds, South American, Australian. It from all areas, which has been really exciting for me because I love cross-cultural communications and international relations and those kinds of topics. So I love learning from people with their different cultures and so forth. So yes, absolutely. It's the short answer to that question, I guess.
Yeah. Can I add quickly, during COVID times, we had a mentor who was matched with a student from South America. I'm not going to guess the country at the moment, but because she was getting married to another student, and because her parents couldn't come over, the mentor ended up being her matron of honor at the wedding. So we get these wonderful stories as well, and like that connection during COVID times was so important to the student. But yeah, so wonderful stories, amazing stories from the program. Next one, also choosing a mentor that's not in your degree. Have we another question, Kerry?
I think we've covered off on them, but if anyone has any more questions, now is your time. We've got a couple of minutes left. So feel free to post in the chat or turn your mic on for expediency. Entirely up to you. And remember, if you have any questions afterwards, we are going to be sending around this presentation with all the contact details.
Yeah.
And Rita's always open to a discussion, as am I. But she's your woman if you're interested in this type of thing.
What I've done is, while I'm waiting for questions, I've just popped back up the slide there and clicking how to register, because that's super important. Again, all these photos are genuine photos from people in the program, and I was spoiled for choice. So there are 4 steps to registering. There's a link there. It's super easy. I will, as you said, these slides will be available at the end, and any other information that you have. But I just wanted to wrap up on my end and say, look, one of the key takeaways I think today, and it was a common thread that wasn't planned, believe me, even if it's on a slide, but it came from all the pre-presentation discussions I had with the mentors and the mentees today. Everybody was talking about saying yes to opportunities that come across your way. And yeah, it's the reason I'm in Australia, saying yes, even when you're afraid to say yes, even when you think it doesn't suit. That small yes plus bit of action, I mean, it can equal growth, connection, and fulfillment. And if you take nothing else away from today, please take that away. What are the slides? That's us. There's 2 of us in the team. There's me, the blonde, and then there's Nicole, dark hair. So the 2 of us make up the team industry mentoring program, and we're always open for a chat. Any questions, anything at all. There's a QR code for joining the program, I think, and or feedback on today's session. But it has been an utter joy to have everybody here today. Thank you so much to Paris, to Ethan, to Kate, and to Donna. You gave up so much of your time, not just in the session, but preparing for this session as well. I really, really do appreciate it. And thank you, Kerry, for having us on
Oh,
today's
thank you so
session.
much for the opportunity. Yeah, if you've got any questions, come and have a chat. Some of you already know me. So come and have a chat or connect with Rita. She's got all the goss on what's happening with the program. So thank you so much for attending today. Really appreciate it. And I think that's us done.
Yeah, thank you very much. And on time, Kerry. Fabulous.